You thought he stopped talking, didn't you? You prayed and waited and waited. And then nothing, not a whisper, not a sign. Just silence so heavy it felt like the world forgot your name. Like maybe God did too. You tried to stay strong, kept folding your hands, kept showing up. But deep inside you started wondering, what's the point of praying if heaven stays quiet? It's okay. You're not wrong for feeling that. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're human. And you're tired. You didn't come here by accident. If your heart has been aching for a response, if you've been begging for God to just say something, then this moment was written for you. Take a deep breath. Just listen. Let the words sink in. This moment is yours. To feel, to breathe, to be still. No one's going to preach at you. This isn't about fixing your faith. It's about feeling again. It's about remembering that you still have a soul, even when it's been bruised and silent for too long. So if this speaks to your heart, stay. You're not alone. Let me tell you something gently, almost like a whisper, not because you need more noise, but because your spirit is already overloaded. Sometimes, when God doesn't shout, it doesn't mean he's gone. Sometimes silence is the only way he can reach past the chaos in your mind and slip into your soul. And maybe, just maybe, that's what's happening now. Maybe this is the whisper. Maybe these words, right now, are what your heart has been starving to hear. So don't scroll away. Don't let the voice of your doubt be louder than the whisper of God. This is your space. This is your breath. This is your turning point. Even when you feel abandoned, you're still being spoken to. You just have to learn how to hear again. I know what it's like to cry without sound, to lie awake at night, eyes open, staring into a ceiling that feels farther than the sky, and wonder if your prayers are just echoes bouncing back. You smile during the day, say you're fine. Maybe you even go to church, nod your head, sing the songs, but inside, you're empty, you're numb, like you're walking through life in grayscale while everyone else sees in color. And you've tried everything, haven't you? You tried reading more. You tried worship music. You even tried silence. But the silence didn't bring peace. It brought more questions, more weight, more wondering if you're the problem. If maybe you've become too broken to hear God anymore. I see you. Not just the version of you that holds it together in front of others. I see the you behind closed doors. The one who sits on the floor of the shower just to feel something. The one who gets through the day, but barely. The one who doesn't know what to believe anymore, but still aches to believe in something. There's no shame here, because when your soul is tired, it doesn't mean you've failed. It means you've fought. It means you've carried something heavy for too long. And maybe it means you've been trying to do it all without letting yourself break down long enough for God to build you back up. There's a kind of pain that hides in silence, not the loud, obvious kind, but the subtle ache, the kind that slips into your spirit and lingers, that quiet despair that grows when it feels like God stopped noticing you. You start to doubt not just God, but yourself. Maybe you think you missed the sign. Maybe you believe he was talking and you just weren't spiritual enough to catch it. Maybe you think you failed some invisible test and now he's withdrawn. But I need you to hear this, really hear it. You're not abandoned. You're not disqualified. You're not too messed up to be loved by the one who made you. Even now, with your doubts, your damage, your confusion, God still knows your name, still sees your tears, still hears the whisper behind your silence. You don't need to impress him. You just need to breathe. So breathe with me now. Close your eyes. Let go of the guilt, the pressure, the fear. You're not here to earn anything. You're here to remember that you're already held, even in the quiet. There's a war no one sees, and it's happening inside you. It's not about right or wrong. It's not even about good and evil. It's about the battle between faith and exhaustion, between what you want to believe and what your pain keeps whispering in your ear. And pain can be persuasive. It tells you God gave up, that you're no longer chosen, that maybe you were once close, but something happened. You broke it. You lost your way. and now you're too far gone to come back. You try to silence it, but the silence outside only makes the noise inside louder, and somewhere along the way, prayer stopped feeling like connection and started feeling like performance. You kneel because you should, not because you're sure someone's listening. You speak words that once meant something, but now echo in a hollow place where your faith used to live. You don't need more cliches. You've heard them all. God's timing is perfect. Just have faith. Everything happens for a reason. But when your heart is cracking open in the dark, platitudes feel like paper shields in a hurricane. You need something real. You need to feel again, to believe without faking it, to hope without forcing it. And maybe that's the hardest part. Not the pain, but the pretending. Pretending you're okay when you're unraveling. Pretending you're strong when you're shattering. Pretending you still hear God when you haven't heard anything in weeks or months. But here's the truth you've been afraid to admit. You still want Him. You still long for His voice, even when it feels far. You still reach out in the dark, even when you're unsure if He'll reach back. You still whisper prayers, quiet, broken ones, because somewhere, deep inside, the spark hasn't died. And maybe that's faith, not the loud, confident kind, but the trembling faith that shows up anyway, the kind that prays, God, I don't even know if you're there, but I miss you. Let that be enough right now. Not your strength, not your words, not your performance, just your honesty. Because God isn't waiting for you to clean up your mind before He speaks. He speaks into the mess. He speaks through the doubt. He speaks when your faith is barely hanging on. This moment, this breath, it's not a coincidence. It's a crack in the silence. And sometimes all God needs is a crack to come flooding in. And just when you think the silence is going to swallow you whole, something small breaks through. It's not a miracle, not a booming voice from the sky, not the answer to every prayer. It's a memory. Faint, but familiar. Like the sound of your mother praying for you when you were too young to understand. Like the lyrics of that one worship song that used to make you cry before your tears dried up. Like the moment you felt peace so deep years ago, you were convinced God had to be real. And for a second, just a second, the silence softens. Your chest doesn't feel so tight. Your mind stops racing. And somewhere inside something whispers, I'm still here. You pause. You question it. You almost dismiss it. But your soul leans in because it remembers. It remembers that night you almost gave up, but didn't. It remembers the words that showed up at just the right time. It remembers the time you felt surrounded, not by people, but by something holy. You didn't imagine that. It wasn't emotional hype. It wasn't coincidence. It was God, and He hasn't changed. His voice hasn't gone silent. Your pain just got louder, but He's still speaking. In that stranger who smiled at you for no reason when you were falling apart. In the way the sun broke through the clouds the moment you said, God, I need you. In the way this video found you, not by chance, but by mercy. Take a deep breath again. Let your heart remember what your mind forgot. You've been here before, broken, confused, weary, and yet you're still here. Still breathing, still hoping, still listening. That means something. That means the silence isn't the end. It's the space before the voice, the hush before the whisper, the stillness before the healing. And maybe that's where you are right now, on the edge of something sacred. Let yourself lean in. Don't demand a thunderous sign. Sometimes the softest moments carry the deepest truths. And maybe this is one of them. There's a sacred work happening in silence, not the kind of silence that punishes, but the kind that heals without asking for attention. Like seeds buried deep beneath the surface where no one can see them. But something is growing. You don't feel it yet. You don't see it, but God has been moving, not outside of your pain, but right in the middle of it. That ache in your chest, It's not abandonment, it's space being cleared. It's old lies being torn down, its roots going deeper before the bloom. Because real healing doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the dark rooms of your soul, where God sits quietly beside you, not rushing, not preaching, just being. You may not hear his voice, but his presence has never left. He was there in the breakdown. He was there when you deleted the message instead of sending it, when you took a deep breath instead of falling apart, when you stayed, when everything in you wanted to run. That was him. Not in the fireworks, but in the flicker. Not in the answer, but in the strength to keep asking. That's the kind of God he is. Not loud, not forceful, but patient, gentle, still, and he's been rebuilding you in ways you didn't even notice. Your numbness, it's the scar tissue forming where you used to bleed. Your silence, it's your heart learning to listen differently. Your weariness, it's your soul shedding the weight it was never meant to carry. There's no shame in this season. This is sacred ground. God doesn't need you to leap, he just wants you to lean, and when you do, even the slightest bit, he meets you there. Not with judgment, not with lectures, but with open arms and quiet power. So if all you can offer is a whisper of faith, a tiny breath of hope, it's enough. It's more than enough, because he's already doing what you thought he had forgotten. He's been pulling pieces together, aligning moments you haven't lived yet, healing wounds you haven't named yet, all in the silence, all while you thought nothing was happening. This is how he works, not just through miracles, but through mercy, not just through signs, but through stillness. And the fact that you're still here, still listening, still breathing, is proof that the story isn't over. Something is beginning. Here's what no one tells you about faith. It's not always loud, it's not always confident, it's not always visible. Sometimes faith looks like showing up when you feel nothing, like whispering, "God, I'm here," even when he feels miles away, like sitting in the dark, not because you've given up, but because you're waiting for the light. And the truth, God's voice hasn't stopped, it just changed forms. You were listening for thunder, but he chose a whisper. You were looking for lightning, but he lit a candle. You were expecting a shout, but he sat beside you in stillness and said nothing, not because he had nothing to say, but because he knew what your heart needed more than answers, was presence. You're not being punished, you're not forgotten, you're not too late or too far gone. You're in a divine pause, a sacred in-between. A space where God is peeling back the layers, not to hurt you, but to reach the version of you that's been buried under years of pretending, pleasing, performing. And the silence, it's been protecting you. Protecting you from noise that would have distracted you, from people who couldn't walk with you, from lies that you were starting to believe about yourself and about him. This season wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to undo you. Undo the false beliefs, undo the religious pressure, undo the shame you've been carrying like a second skin, because when all the noise fades, when the crowds are gone, when even your own voice grows quiet, that's when the real voice of God emerges. Not the one you learned from fear, not the one that said you had to be perfect, not the one that made you feel unworthy, but the voice that formed you, the voice that called you, the voice that knows you by name, even in your lowest moment. And it doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it doesn't force its way in, it waits. And when you finally stop striving, stop spinning, stop trying to fix everything, that voice gently says, "I've been here the whole time." You haven't missed your moment, you haven't ruined your story, you're right on time because you're here now, and that's all God needed. So maybe this isn't the answer you expected. There was no booming voice, no dramatic sign, no sudden flood of clarity, but you're still here, and something inside you feels different. Maybe just a little softer, maybe just a little lighter, maybe a little more seen. That matters, Don't rush past this moment. Don't minimize the weight of what you're feeling right now, because this quiet awareness, this calm after the storm inside your chest, it's not random. It's evidence that God never left, that He's still whispering, still waiting, still speaking. Even when your heart is slow to hear, let that truth settle. Let it break through the walls you built to protect yourself. Let it reach the places you swore you'd keep hidden. Let it love you back to life. Because you are not beyond redemption. You are not too tired to be restored. You are not too far to be found. The silence was never a sentence. It was a season. And even now, as this video ends, the work inside you continues. God isn't done. He's just beginning. So tonight, when you lay your head down and the silence returns, don't fear it. Welcome it. It's no longer empty. It's full of His voice, His presence, His promises still unfolding. And when you feel the ache again, because you will, come back here. Let these words meet you again. Let this space remind you of what your heart already knows, but sometimes forgets. You are held. You are loved. You are not alone. If this helped you breathe again, come back tomorrow. We walk together. And if you're still unsure what to pray, let this be your whisper tonight. God, I can't hear you, but I want to. I don't feel you, but I need to. I'm not strong, but I'm here. So please, meet me in this silence and speak in the way only you can. Close your eyes now. Let the music carry you. Let your soul rest. He's still speaking, even here, even now, even in the quiet. Even